From the shadows where the whispers grow, through the night where the warriors flow, feel the power in the tales untold. Lord Ninja Choke takes a strong hold.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 33 of the Lord Ninja Choke MMA Picks podcast. We are excited to bring you a early leans breakdown of UFC 322 today, which is headlined by Della, Maddalena and Islam Makhachev fighting for the welterweight championship, as well as Shevchenko versus Zhang fighting for the flyweight championship. So we've got two, cross-divisional matchups here. This is a pretty blockbuster kind of card. We're very excited to be breaking down the main card here. So I guess we're going to fly straight into it and get into the welterweight championship main event. I guess seeing as I'm here, I'll start us off. I think for me personally, there is real intrigue when it comes to cross-divisional stuff. Obviously, we have Islam Makhachev stepping up in weight here. The former lightweight champion moves up 15 pounds to compete at 170. And that is kind of the gray area for me. I always struggle with weight classes when it comes to this kind of thing because we have no visual evidence of Islam Makhachev fighting against 175 pounds, or obviously, on fight day, you're bloated up more than 170 pounds worth of speed, size, power, strength, endurance, etc., etc. And without that knowledge, it's tricky. I think that for anyone who has been watching the UFC a little bit longer, you may remember Jan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya. I think that fight really scarred me when it comes to cross-divisional champ versus champ fights, simply because Adesanya's takedown defense was always so elite, and he was a far better striker than Blachowicz, and he was like a minus 250 favorite or something, and it made complete sense. But then when the fight played out, Adesanya showed absolutely none of the skills that Adesanya has at middleweight, and Jan Blachowicz beat a fighter that he is clearly inferior to with relative ease. And since then, I've always sort of known that these fights are ones that you should be very careful with. And Makhachev's, he's the inferior striker compared to JDM. That much is obvious, but he's the superior grappler. So therefore, physicality and his ability to manhandle and maneuver his opponent is key to his success. I just don't know with any certainty whether or not he can do it to a guy who is bigger than him. And, I'm sure he's probably fought opponents who are bigger than him, but it's just, yeah, I just have my reservations. I mean, the size difference isn't massive. I mean, we're not talking anything drastic here. It's a matter of 1 or 2 inches in both height and reach. But it's just a tricky one. I don't really think I can say any more than that. I think that JDM's defensive wrestling and grappling has been very good. I mean, statistically, his takedown defense isn't amazing, I don't think, but it's more nuanced than that. I mean, you're looking at get-ups as well, and suddenly it's a different conversation. Yes, he may only have a takedown defense of 69%, which again, not elite at all. But if you look at his ability to bounce back up straight away, the amount of time he actually spends on the mat on his back is minimal. When he fought Gilbert Burns, I know Gilbert has kind of regressed a fair bit and was regressed by the time he fought JDM. JDM just, yes, he may have given up the initial takedown, but he was right back up again. And we saw that as well in the championship rounds against Belal Muhammad. He got taken down, but he stopped Belal from having anything more than 90 seconds of top control. 90 seconds of top control is not enough to win you the round. And I know there's a big difference in ability as a wrestler grappler between Belal and between Islam Makhachev. So I'm not suggesting that he can do it against Belal, he can do it against Islam. But it comes back to that sort of uncertainty of how does 170-pound Islam look. So, if JDM was atrocious as a grappler and this was identical to that Adesanya versus Blachowicz fight I referenced earlier on, I'd have a bit more faith in Makhachev, but I don't know. And I'm really going back and forth here. And, from a betting perspective, this fight is not indicative of a back and forth who wins kind of fight. It's not a coin toss. It's not a pick 'em. So JDM has to be the betting side. He is for me personally. I bet him at plus 275 a long time ago, just as the fight got announced in a futures market. But it really isn't a fight to have a confident pick on. And I wouldn't be surprised if Islam Makhachev shows that he's the pound for pound number one. can you really pick against him? I don't know. Yeah, we will see. But at the end of the day, betting value, Jack Della Maddalena, surely. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, so I would not be doing my due diligence in not talking about JDM for about 5 minutes straight. I have always been a firm believer that JDM would be able to defeat Islam, even if like prior to the fight even being announced, I knew that this fight would eventually happen because Makhachev did hint at fighting at welterweight. So I did think that JDM would be the side that I would personally pick. Well, there are a few reasons, right? Like, JDM has 50 minutes of experience against Islam, and I know that sounds like what are you talking about, you crazy person? No, JDM's trained alongside Volk throughout this camp, so he has that camp experience. He already has that advantage in terms of intelligence, in terms of height, reach, and whatever. Like, he is going to be the bigger fighter compared to Islam. But he also has Volk on his side now. He has the added experience from Volk to aid him in this battle. I am aware that Islam is a mauler of like the lightweight division. I don't give a shit, because if you look at his record outside of his Volkanovski wins, he has fought primarily strikers and maybe one grappler in Moicano who was there on late notice, right? So I reckon Islam's record is a little bit padded, right? I think JDM has fought the more interesting opponents that might not mirror the level of Makhachev, but it also will be the it's a fight of battle. It's a battle of styles, right? So I do think that JDM is going to surprise us, and I also took a futures bet here, or whatever you want to call it, from the futures market. 3.08 was the odds at the time, and I initially put 2 units, but after tonight, after this episode, I'm going to put another 5, so a total of 7 units on JDM to win or retain the belt and defeat Islam and shut up all the haters and all that stuff. So that's my crazed Australian rant from me. What about you, Dom?
Yeah, I'm aligned here. I think JDM's betting side. I'm confident, maybe not in JDM winning, but I'm confident that it's going to be a close fight. Hence why I'm betting on JDM. And the only thing to add here is that what gives me confidence in JDM is that when I saw, if you watch the Alexander Volkanovski, the first encounter, Volkanovski was very able to compete with Makhachev despite not being a grappling background. Of course, he's smaller and he's scramblier, but he's not as strong as JDM. Not nowhere near. He's genuine 145er, and he really gave Makhachev hell. I actually thought Volkanovski, like, I bet on him in that fight. I thought he didn't have to win it, but it was controversial. So I understand that Makhachev probably won 3-2, but Volkanovski won 2 rounds clearly. So yeah, he's dropping rounds to a 145er. And generally speaking, I agree with what you said. I don't think his level of competition is great. Like, I don't think beating Dan Hooker, King Green, Dustin Poirier, or Renato Moicano, I think JDM would beat all those people really easily. And I don't think they're very good at grappling. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I think we're going to take JDM. The question is only how he's going to win this. And honestly, I think he can TKO Makhachev. I think if it's a decision, that probably leans slightly towards Makhachev controlling him, because I don't think Makhachev is going to taste of this kind of power on the feet. And I think Belal is a great wrestler and a great proxy for Makhachev. He's definitely going to be arguably as strong as Makhachev physically, maybe not quite as skillful. I know Makhachev is very skillful on the mat. So yeah, I think Della can keep this standing for the most part, and therefore maybe we should lean TKO. What do you think? Maybe a late TKO.
I just want to add one very quick little thing, if I can. I did mention, well, we know that by now that Makhachev is moving to 170, but my main curiosity about that, before we get to the pick itself, Dom, sorry, is that how is he going to make 170? Is he building up bulk muscle mass, which means a rough weight cut back down to 170? You know, like, is he going to take the Max Holloway approach early on, where Max just like gets big? Or is it going to be the proper built 170 coming into that fight, right? So I'm intrigued to see how Makhachev looks on the scales. I mean, I don't expect a weight miss, but I do expect maybe just a bit of fatigue on the scales. I always find these move up in weight classes a bit weird when it comes to the weight misses or the weight cut itself. But in terms of the pick, sorry, I kind of diverged. Yeah, KO personally, I think it's going to be in the round 4 or 5 where Makhachev gets a bit fatigued. What do you think, Will?
Oh, it's so hard to say. I do agree with you. I think, yeah, the way he bulks up will probably determine the method of victory for JDM as well. Because if he does take a more well-rounded approach to how he gains the 15 pounds, then it's probably going to be fine cardio wise. But he probably will look rejuvenated. I mean, Islam was struggling to hit that 155 mark towards the end of his career, lightweight. But I'm happy to go KO. Yeah, I see it. I think, yeah, it's fine. If JDM has any success, it probably will be late on as well. So I think KO makes sense. 4-5. I don't know. Flip a coin for the decision.
Well, we did see that JDM was putting it on Beneil in round 5, like really going for the kill. So got a proxy in that sense. Dramatic. He'll be down 3 rounds through grappling and finish Makhachev in the final round. That would be exciting. Let's hope that happens. Right. Co-main. Maybe Will. Well, you already talked us through. He's the first one. I've got a bet on Shevchenko already because we were talking about futures. I had a futures on her at plus 150. Slight worry about it, to be honest. I just worry about Valentina Shevchenko and the way she's looked recently. I don't know if you guys feel the same. The Fiorot win. I was about to say the Fiorot loss. The Fiorot win could have been a loss, right? It was a close fight. I need to rewatch that. Grasso, she clearly won that fight, but she didn't really do a lot. She just lay on her for 5 rounds, which I was glad for because I bet on her and I knew she was better than Grasso. The draw, she won that. I think she won that fight. Again, it was too close for comfort and she didn't separate the way I was expecting her to. The loss, I'm just going to say that was a fluke. The Tyler Santos again was not a good look, was it? So, on the other side, you've got Zhang, who looks fantastic. She didn't look fantastic actually against Xiaonan Yan. She looked fantastic against Suarez, but Suarez has been out for 2 years. Xiaonan Yan, that was not a great performance. She was reversed a lot on the mat. She took a lot of damage. She should have really won the fight unequivocally. It was a bit too close, I think, for comfort, that one. Lemos, that was just an absolute domination. Esparza's old, but that was a domination. And Jon Jacek's, brilliant. So, yeah, I can see why money's coming in on Weili Zhang, and I'm worried. Guys, can you help me with my lack of confidence in my bet on Shevchenko?
I mean, I might say something quickly if that's okay with Will. I am surprised that Shevchenko and Zhang are this close on the line. I would have expected Shevchenko to be more in as a favorite, like maybe minus 160-ish. I don't know.
Why?
Well, if you compare the records, and this is for wiki capping to the max here, Zhang has fought what I want to call apex headliners fighters, right? Like if you look at the names, they all headline the apex cards easily. Whereas Shevchenko, she has fought champion after champion after champion, right? She has been at the top of the food chain in the women's division for so long. She is a natural 125er. She is not as old, or not older per se than Zhang. I mean, she is in age, but not old, right? And I know that Fiorot did kind of pressure Shevchenko against the cage for most of the time, and she did impose her presence in the cage, but that's because Fiorot is big. Fiorot was, I think, much taller and longer than Shevchenko, so there's that. Zhang isn't. I reckon Zhang is much smaller. She's moving up in weight, which again leads me back to my Islam rant. So maybe we'll see a big, bulky Zhang who trades her speed and her athleticism for power and monstrosity. I don't know. but I am going to side with Shevchenko here. I reckon the odds are a gift for us, and as much as I love Weili, and as much as I can thank her for putting Asia on the map again for mixed martial arts, I reckon Shevchenko is just going to dog walk her.
Okay, well, I'm impressed with your level of confidence. I honestly am. I can't agree that she should be a bigger favourite. I think the odds probably are where they should be. Right, Will? What do you think?
I sit in the middle of the two of you. I think this is a very funny fight in that it's very similar to the fight we just broke down for multiple reasons. Obviously, changing in weight class again, which, as I was already saying, gives you a low confidence conclusion on this one. Less prominent in the women's divisions, I think, because power is less of a factor. But I think that Zhang Weili has been so physically dominant over the women that she's beaten. And I think that is key in that I don't think she's going to be out like muscling Valentina Shevchenko, which immediately takes away one of the best bits of her game. And I think that the point you made, Josh, about looking at the level of competition that Zhang Weili has beaten, I think that is key here, because to me, she's been picking off a lot of women who just have the massive like flaw in their like defensive wrestling and grappling or whatever. Like, I think something that really stands out to me here is that Weili Zhang has been wrestling and grappling a lot of her opponents recently, when she is obviously from a striking background, which, you know, that itself in a way is a bit of a red flag in terms of her stepping into a new weight class, because, you know, when you're so comfortable that you're using plan B, it says a lot about you know, the level of competition that you're fighting. I don't think that Weili Zhang is going to have a whole lot of success in grappling Valentina. I think Valentina, whilst she does actually have some slightly questionable takedown defense sometimes, she's a competent anti-grappler, far more competent than anyone Zhang Weili has faced recently. So I think that immediately becomes interesting. And then also, from a 25-minute perspective, in a competitive fight, Weili Zhang does not have the best cardio. The last time I can remember her being in a competitive fight was when she fought Rose Namajunas the second time. And in the championship rounds, she was controlled for just over half of round 4 and then just under 4 minutes of round 5. So Rose won the championship rounds with grappling control. And I think that is something that the savvy veteran of Valentina could do. I think also Valentina probably will have the better gas tank. She's in her natural weight class. It's just another fight for her. So really, you know, I just think that when you take the best parts of Zhang's game and then you consider her doing them to Valentina, it doesn't look right. Like, I don't see her like bulldozing Valentina on the feet and knocking her down or knocking her out. I don't see her grappling her for 25 minutes. Whereas I think that Valentina's game is just so generalist, you know, like, and I mean that in a positive way. She's just got so much like good things that she does, but she doesn't stand out in any one area. So I think that Shevchenko will just flow wherever the fight takes place. Whereas I think Weili Zhang is going to kind of just struggle to figure out exactly how she's going to beat Valentina. I mean, I do have to say also that, like, you know, obviously I can't really talk about Valentina without referring to that absolutely colossally bad 7.5 unit bet I had on Manon Fiorot. I also think Manon Fiorot won that fight, and one of the main reasons I bet it was because I thought that Valentina was on a decline. So everything Dom was saying about her recent record and her lack of dominant performances, totally valid and totally fair. But I still think that it's a grey area, because I think that Fiorot fight was impressive still. I mean, I think Fiorot is very good, and she was made to look very average against Valentina. I mean, I know it was a coin toss, but like, I don't know, you'd have thought that the gap in like prime would probably be enough to give Fiorot the win there. So I was impressed by Valentina there. If she doesn't show up looking regressed and we go, oh, okay, she was washed, I think she should definitely be like a minus 150 favorite here personally. So I also played the early plus 150 for a unit. I wish I played it for more, because now I want to reinvest, but I'd have to take a much worse price tag, which I'm not a huge fan of. But yeah, I think Valentina definitely should be the side, probably by decision, as as is always the case with Valentina. I think Weili's tough. She's not going to get finished. So that would be my pick. Do you guys agree?
I put as much as I could possibly put on that line plus 150. I played it purely on instinct, just her being bigger, like you see here, the 3-inch reach advantage. She only has 1 inch of height, but she's got 3 inches of reach. I thought that would be useful in the fight. But I have had time to reflect on it and listen to both of you talk. And you know what? I am actually going to lean Weili Zhang. So I'm in a good position, right, where I can hedge out, because I don't think Zhang's going to finish Valentina in the first 3 rounds. So I already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to play Zhang Weili wins in 4-5 or by decision. Probably doesn't finish Valentina late, but I always like to have that insurance. I think that's going to be plus 150 or greater, hopefully greater. And then I can just watch the fight without worrying about who's going to win, because I would have locked in close to a unit of profit. That's my strategy. And the reason I think Zhang Weili wins this fight, I think it's speed. I think it's volume. I think Valentina will want to take Weili Zhang down, and I don't think she'll be successful. She might take her down in rounds 4 and 5, but she's dropped rounds 1 to 3. That's going to be an issue. I think that there's going to be a speed differential here. And I think Valentina of old would have, should have been the favorite. But I think that we have to consider the recent performances, right? And I do need to rewatch the Fiore fight, so I can't be unequivocal with my opinion till I rewatch that fight. I think the Tyler Santos was a very bad look. And I think, Will, you were selling me on this in the lead up to that fight, and I wasn't quite buying it. But I think I buy it now. I think the Grasso was, I was happy she won it. But look, 8 takedowns. That's how she's going to have to win this fight against Weili Zhang. She's going to have to take her down and lie on top of her. That's what we're going to see. Like, if she wins the fight, I think any other version of the fight, Zhang is going to be outpointing her. She simply puts more volume out there. Right, I know that this number out here, this 3 strikes per minute, is because she's a counter striker, right? So she's landing impactful strikes when you come forward. I think Zhang can find ways around that. Am I worried about the power of Valentina? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but Valentina's not been finishing many people, has she, recently, compared to Weili? I mean, Valentina's just been like, yeah, look,
I do worry about the stats,
finished anyone. Finished Lauren Murphy. Oh wow, you've decisioned everyone. Decision Tyler Santos, lost by choke, split decision Grasso, decision. And they weren't great. The last 5 fights, she hasn't looked good. And I love Shevchenko. She's like my favorite female fighter, and Weili's probably my second. So it's there's no biases here from that perspective. I want Valentina to win, but I've considered my heart and my head, and I really think that Zhang Weili probably is going to win this. So I just want to hedge out. I want to watch this fight from a fan perspective. And, I think all things being equal, I understand why you said Valentina should be a favorite. I think if she didn't have this nagging doubt about her recent form, and maybe I'm overlooking the opponents, because like you said, Zhang Weili hasn't fought very good opponents. I've kind of disagree a little bit. I mean, I think Tatiana Suarez, okay, if that had been prime Tatiana, that would have been a good win. Yan Xiaonan's a good fighter. Lemos, I think Lemos, is basically she's trading wins and losses, so she's not a good fighter. And yeah, Carla Esparza's washed, but the Yon Jacek, and I guess she lost to Nami Yunus twice. So yeah, maybe it's a fair point. Or maybe the competition's not quite the same. Yeah, it's definitely something to think about. I'm not super confident in the Shevchenko position. That's the way I feel at the moment. But we're picking her because you guys are both on her. Like I said, I have a bet on her, so I really should feel more convicted about this. I'm just not feeling it. Something's bothering me about this one. Yeah. I guess I don't want to see her lie on Weili Zhang for 5 rounds.
I feel like in this discussion, I've grown more confident in Valentina.
Well, that's good.
I just think that, like, just to kind of not, I guess, counteract what you were just saying, like the whole like level of competition thing. It's not so much the names and the caliber of them; it's the way in which she beat them. And I think that also ties into the significant strike numbers. I mean, against Amanda Lemos, she landed 163 significant strikes, which is almost entirely from like top control, if I remember correctly. Yeah, she had 16 minutes of control time in that fight. So it's like, yeah, 163 is a great number, but like I don't think she got those at distance. So I don't think it's necessarily. Yeah, 96 of them were on the ground. So it's like I don't know if that necessarily counts on that number. I think it's a bit padded. And I think against Zhang it's probably the same. 68 of them were on the ground of her 106. So it's like if maybe she has top control against Valentina and she can do the same thing, but I think that the numbers of significant strikes that she's landed is a little bit padded because of that. Also, Tatiana Suarez, great fighter, she beat her. But then if you, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but if you're looking into that fight before it happens and someone says, by the way, Suarez only lands one takedown, you know Zhang's going to dominate her. You know, like if you're a striker and you pass and you're facing a grappler, but you know you're going to pass the takedown defense test, you're going to dominate. It's just the stylistics of how the fight went. Whereas I think Valentina has had much more complicated and well-rounded fights where she's had to dig deep against talented girls. Whereas I think Weili has just been swinging a hammer. And that's not to say the result, how this result of the fight will be, but I just think I've got doubt against Weili, and she's the one stepping up. So I don't know. For me, it's purely a case of whether or not Valentina's washed.
I think there's one thing you hinted upon, which I think is interesting. So I think that's the assumption that people are making, that the size of Valentina means she's going to win the grappling exchanges. I think there's a world where what you said is actually true. I think Weili Zhang could end up on top in this fight. I think that maybe in the long run, if they do a lot of grappling, then the size will make a difference. But I think like maybe not cutting the weight will give Weili more energy. Maybe we will just scramble and maybe it'll just stay standing for the first 3 rounds. If it's standing, I think I have to favour Zhang. She definitely has the better output. Yes, the strikes against Lemos were ground strikes, but she had amazing output against Jon Jacek, 165 significant strikes over 5 rounds there. She can do it, right? We've never seen Valentina like really. She often does nothing for long periods of rounds. Weili will
she's
be
never reached 100.
Sorry,
she's never reached 100
yeah,
significant
strikes. She's not a volume striker. So if this stays standing, and I really think Weili's evolved a lot in the grappling, neither of these girls is a grappler. Valentina Shevchenko is not a grappler. She uses it very well because she's evolved to use it, and she just uses it to stifle opponents. She doesn't advance position. Yes, I can definitely see her stifling Weili Zhang on the ground. I think that Weili's going to outpoint her and potentially finish her if she lands enough accumulative damage over the 5 rounds. I'm really worried about that. So I'm glad you're more convicted on the Shevchenko side. We're certainly picking her. But I want to watch this fight without any skin in the game because it's women's MMA. I think this is close. I love both these fighters. I have buyer's remorse, but I'm happy that I got a good price on Shevchenko, so I should be able to find a way to get out of it. And I wish you guys good luck with your bets, whatever you decide. But Shevchenko's the pick by decision, I assume, based on the discussion.
Yeah.
And let's move on. Well, that was fun. That was probably our most in-depth early lean.
We've got Prates versus Edwards next, by the way. The bout order's probably wrong. Oh, it's right. I do apologize. Topology.
Okay. I have a bet on Leon Edwards. We're going to have to speed up. I've got bets on all these remaining 3. I bet Edwards, Dariush, and Brady. So actually, I mean, technically speaking, I've got 4 dogs in a row on the main card, bet very early. I had the Maddalena bet as soon as it dropped on Better Line as a future. I was with you guys when I bet it, actually. It was post the podcast, and I was asking you guys if I should bet it, and you were like, yeah, you should bet that. And I got plus 225 at the time. But at the moment, JDM is plus 250. You can find plus 250 around, which I think is a good price. We didn't really talk about price because we're not into our bets yet. So Leon Edwards, Carlos Prates. Yeah, I think I know what you guys are going to say. Some of it is going to be about Leon Edwards and is his head in the game. And I think that's a big question mark here, because I think, honestly, if Leon Edwards comes as prime Leon Edwards, I think he should really beat Carlos Prates. I think he's a better all-round mixed martial artist. Like, form-wise, he's not in the best form. I'm more than happy to concede that, right? Because he got schooled by Sean Brady, absolutely dominated, and he lost to Beneil, obviously losing the belt there. I do want to call out that, sometimes it's worth looking at context. That fight was like 4 a.m. in the morning, okay? And he didn't do too bad against Beneil. He opened him up with elbows, and yeah, I think that was just really weird to fight at 4 a.m. London time, just bizarre. The Sean Brady one just showed that his head wasn't in the game, so that it is a major worry. And Prates just killed Jeff Neal with one of the most brutal spinning back elbows I've ever seen, and I had a bet on Jeff Neal, so RIP. But yeah, I think the fight gives me a lot of confidence here in Leon Edwards, and I'm sure it gives him confidence since he's trained with Ian Gary and he knows he's better than Gary. Like, he knows it, right? Is that Ian Gary just schooled Prates for 3 rounds on like 10 days notice, right? He didn't train, and people are like, oh yeah, but he nearly finished him. It's like that thing with Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz. It was like, no, Leon Edwards won that fight, and he was on skates in round 5, but he like dominated Nate Diaz for 4 rounds. People only remember the end of the fight, and that's what they only remember about this fight with Ian Gary. And for me, that's the main evidence that Leon Edwards should make this competitive. Now, should he be a favourite? I think if Prime Leon Edwards would wipe the floor with Carlos Prates. That's my opinion. And now, the hype's gone from the fighting nerds. I don't think it's such a controversial thing to say, but I was backing Leon Edwards the minute the fight was announced, like, in terms of him being a dog. So he's pretty much been a dog the whole time. And if this was even money, I probably wouldn't touch this. That's the truth for the mental side of things. But at plus 180, which is what I got Leon Edwards, I'm more than happy with 2-1 money. Like, I think it's a close fight. I think this is a very close fight. That's my opinion. And I'd love to hear what you guys think about this one.
I will probably go with Prates here because he has more experience recently in 3-round fights compared to Edwards, who is on a 5-round streak, if that makes sense. Like 6 fights in a row where it's like 5 rounds.
Yeah.
So can he pace himself? Can Edwards pace himself properly for a 3-round fight, or is he going to treat it like a 5-round fight, right? So I'm gonna back Prates here. It's a very low confidence prediction. But out of the two, I reckon Prates is just the changing of the guard here, right? Like, he's the nightmare after all. So that's my very short breakdown. Will, what do you got?
Got the deciding vote, Will.
I'm on Prates. I'm not betting it though. I basically just, in summary, agree with everything that you've said. For me, I can't look past the psychology. I just think that Edwards is not going to be the Edwards that we think he is, and I think that Prates probably puts him under too much pressure and he wilts. But if not, should this fight be lined so wide? No, because Edwards is, used to be the best striker in the division, or at least one of. It's so tricky. It all depends on where Leon's head's at, because if he's able to produce prime Leon Edwards, as you said, then yes, of course, like, that's the value side. Might even be the better guy. Might even deserve to be the favorite. But it's a big if, and we don't know what that if is going to look like until they fight. So I could, one thing is for sure, I could not imagine betting on Carlos Prates at around minus 200 here, because you're paying for that risk of Leon showing up, and you're also paying minus 200 if he doesn't show up. It's like, it's just a shit idea. Like, don't bet Prates, that's for sure. But whether or not you bet Leon, it's up to you. I personally won't be, but I can't really fault someone for trying. But yeah, I would pick Prates for me personally.
Yeah, Prates is the pick. I didn't go crazy with my Leon Edwards, but I definitely want to hear him speak and hear about his motivation going into this fight. I like Prates, but another thing I didn't mention is he's a slow starter, right? Just if you're about to bet Prates at minus 200, just watch the Ian Gary fight. Just watch the first 3 rounds as if it's a 3-round fight. That was a 5-round fight, by the way, Josh. So that's a recent fight where Prates has had to go 5 rounds. He was super slow in that fight starting off. He was getting pieced up by Gary. It was easy money for the first 3 rounds. Yeah, it got hairy at the end, but we were on Ian Gary in that fight at even money, and yeah, I think it looked like great value up until a bit of hairy end at round 5. But Ian Gary, like I said, he came in very short notice, so he didn't have 5-round cardio. Right. We went for Prates by decision. Actually, we didn't discuss that, but I assume you guys think that Leon can stay safe on the feet or not.
Yeah, likely he will.
Yeah. He's very, very smart. He's very tactical. I like that about Leon. I've always liked that about Leon. People think he's boring. I think he's done what he's needed to win fights, and unfortunately, that's why he's got the boring tag. But I respect that as someone who likes winners. Right. BSD, Benny, Dariush, Joshua, Will. What do you think here?
I reckon Dariush is going to get chinned. I know that sounds very blatantly disrespectful, but I like Dariush. But recently, BSD has displayed his raw instinct to just kill. He destroyed, was it Silva or no? It was Riffy, wasn't it? It was Mauricio Riffy.
Last fight, he beat.
Yeah, he gave that guy no chance. So I reckon.
But did you think his striking looked good in that fight? Because to be honest, I honestly, I bet on BSD. I was one of the BSD bettors, right? And I was like, God, thank God he won that. It was a bit of a weird one where Riffy just looked so tentative on the feet. And to be honest, BSD looked tentative on the feet. So he didn't give him. It was all the mat work which won him that fight, right?
BSD's secret on the feet is what I call the shotgun approach, right? You know how shotguns have pellets, so they just spread out randomly. That's how he strikes. He throws volume out there randomly, and whenever his opponent gets exposed, then he starts grappling. So I reckon he's going to try and do that same sort of thing against Dariush. That's the only way I can see him win, because Dariush is a good counter wrestler. So in order to mask the 1-for-1 takedown stuff that we see wrestlers do to each other, BSD is going to shotgun approach or just blast volume with his hands, with his feet, and then get the takedown against Dariush. So my lean is BSD, obviously.
Got the sliding vote again. Will.
And once again, for the fourth fight in a row, I'm on the fence, boys. I don't know. It's the classic archetypal fight for Dariush. He seems to come across these dudes all the time. It's aggressive or well-rounded enough, dangerous kind of grappler-based fighter. But we saw it against Moicano, we saw it against Carlos Diego Ferreira a couple of times, even Gamrot to a certain extent, less so the dangerous aspect. But he didn't lose any of those fights. It's so tricky. I think Benoit Saint-Denis is insanely overrated. I don't think he's that good. I think his striking is feeble, and I think the way that feeble's the wrong word. I just think it's just not that good. The way that he throws a body kick to cover distance is just so readable, and it's painful to watch. But honestly, it's enough. It's enough, isn't it? You just need to throw a kitchen sink at Dariush, and suddenly he's wobbled. We most of us, I think all three of us probably were on Dariush against Moicano, and we were celebrating that. It was great. But let's be honest, we're lucky he didn't get finished in round one. He probably should have been. And not only that, him getting wobbled there means that he's even more likely to get hurt against Saint-Denis, because damage is, accumulative, especially at Dariush's age. But if Benoit Saint-Denis does not finish Dariush in round one, I will not be surprised to see Dariush just do the veteran shit. He's such a good grappler. He's so underrated as a grappler. I have a hard time seeing Benoit Saint-Denis winning rounds 2 and 3 against Dariush via grappling. I think if Benoit Saint-Denis is going to do anything positive here, it has to be brute force damage related, as opposed to technical minute winning. So honestly, either side, if Benoit Saint-Denis wins a round 1 KO, not surprised at all, totally fair. Dariush, you've just absorbed too much punishment, mate. But if Dariush wins a decision or wins later in the fight, I'm not surprised either, because there's just levels. There's just levels, but no chin. I will go with. Oh God! From a betting perspective, you've got to be thinking Dariush. I would not want to bet BSD at these odds, personally. I don't know who to pick. Okay, I'm gonna go Benny Dariush. I'm gonna side with Dariush, just because he's our boy. But I don't like Benoit Saint-Denis.
He's going to win. I'm telling you, it's money in the bank. He's a better fighter than BSD everywhere. These odds are wrong. He got chinned once. He's not going to get chinned this time.
Once. Once.
Once recent memory. Because he didn't fight. Yeah. He didn't fight for a while, did he? So he took a time off from the Sarukian fight. So he had 2 years. 2 years off. And he was annoyed. How was it? A straight punch, or was it a kick that dropped him?
It was a kick, I think, an up middle teep.
Yeah, like you said, BSD. It was a kick, was it? Okay, that's interesting.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't rate BSD striking as well. He's got to find the chin, right? Yeah, I bet he's smart. maybe he knows now not to stand for too long. It seemed like it woke him up. You remember at the time, like he got dropped, but he recovered, he grappled, and then he dominated Moicano, frankly, for the remaining 2 rounds. It wasn't even close. So I think BSD is vastly overrated as well. And right now, you're buying high on him because he beat Rufi, the hype machine, right? He's taken all his hype. Now BSD is the hype machine. Like you say, Benny's seen it before. It's just the chin. It is just the chin. He just needs to survive. Yeah, maybe it's better life spot for most people. I put a unit on this, not going crazy again. I haven't gone crazy with Leon Edwards or Dariush, but I really like them as dogs. Decision okay with you guys? We could sub him. He's better on the mat. Could sub him. He's been subbed before.
I'll just say yeah.
You're really skeptical about this one, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Let's see. Not long to wait, so we'll see. Right. Let's. What do you want to stick with decision or on that one? Benny, Dariush by decision?
Yeah, Dariush decision.
Right. Let's finish with this, which I think is it the one before the co-main?
Do you know what the irony is? I dissed Tapology and then I apologized to Tapology. I got it wrong. This fight is supposed to be third, yeah. So Tapology was wrong. Fuck Tapology.
Yeah, fuck Tapology. This is an amazing fight, though. So, which of you guys wants to? I was taping this a little bit today.
I'm gonna opt out because I have no idea what the fuck this fight is gonna be. So I'll let Will do do my part as well.
I mean, first things first, the fight is nearly a pick'em. Like, it's a very closely lined fight, and I think we can all say that that's fair. I will give you the campaign for Michael Morales, though. I think Michael Morales should be the slight favorite here, simply because of the size. I think that Michael Morales presents some interesting tests for Sean Brady that Brady has not seen maybe in his UFC career. I would need to actually just look through it all, but like, in my opinion, I think it's 7 inches of reach and like 3 inches of height, which is quite a lot. But it's the danger within those inches, I think, is the issue. Like, you look at Sean Brady's wins in his UFC career, they're very good wins. I bet him against Leon Edwards. I'm a big believer in the guy. I think he's a potential former champion, so no disrespect to him at all. But in my opinion, Leon Edwards, Gilbert Burns, Kelvin Gastelum, Bilal Mohamed, Michael Chiesa, Jake Matthews, and then we don't need to go any further than that. You don't need to really be too afraid pursuing a takedown against those guys. They may clip you on the way in, but they're probably not going to put you out. They're not one-punch finishers. I mean, Gastelum used to be like 15 years ago, but that doesn't really count. Whereas I think Michael Morales is. I think that the big difference here is that size and power and dangerousness, because people say, oh, it's a striker versus grappler. It's all about whether or not Michael Morales can defend the takedowns. Whereas my way of framing it is, I think it's actually on Sean Brady and whether or not he can get to the takedowns, because the fight starts standing, the fight stays standing. And I think Michael Morales wins it if it doesn't go anywhere else. But Brady is going to have to be very careful with how he takes that first step to then open up his path to victory. Whereas Michael Morales begins in his path to victory, if that makes sense. I think it's much more nuanced than that. And in terms of the actual grappling ability, once Brady successfully clasps his hands together or grabs hold of a single leg, then it gets pro Brady, and I think that is fair. I think Michael Morales has shown some decent enough anti-grappling. It's not perfect, it's not that bad. I also, again, size I think plays a part there, but I don't know. If you were to show me 5 screenshots of this fight and 3 of them were either clinch range or on the mat, then I would say sure, Sean Brady wins this one. But I think I'm just having a hard time seeing Brady easily and replicably getting those takedowns without walking headfirst into something dangerous. So I'm willing to say I think Michael Morales should be given slight favoritism because of him being in the driver's seat from the get-go, but it's a very close fight, so like it's not a strong pick. And I know that there's probably going to be some backlash for that, and you guys are going to disagree. So does anyone want to make the case for Sean Brady?
Yeah, I can make the case for Sean Brady because I think I agree, first of all, that it should be a closely lined fight. I'm definitely not going to dispute that. I think the point you made that Sean Brady's not faced anyone like Michael Morales is true. But I think the reverse is also true. Yes, he faced Gilbert Burns, but that lasted less than a round. So he hasn't faced anyone like Sean Brady with that sort of relentless pressure, top pressure. If he gets him down, he's like a boa constrictor, Sean Brady. So I don't think that Michael Morales has faced any adversity in his UFC career. So I think this is a super interesting fight. I'm definitely, this is going to determine the future of the welterweight division for sure. I don't blame anyone for liking Michael Morales. He's a flashy striker. I do push back a little bit on the power side. He is a powerful striker, right? So just if you look at his record, great 2 wins recently against Burns and Magny. Not going to take anything away from those. He dropped around to Jake Matthews on the feet, and he also dropped around to Max Griffin in a relatively close fight. In fact, Michael Morales shot on Griffin because he got hurt. If you want to watch any of the fights of Michael Morales to get a kind of good picture of how Sean Brady could win this, you should watch the 2 stand-up fights with Max Griffin and Jake Matthews, which are competitive, and then watch Fugit and Giles. Yes, he finished Fugit and Giles. Fugit came in late notice. It was his debut in the UFC. He took Morales down in round 1 within 2.5 minutes. And Trevin Giles, Officer Giles, got him down within 90 seconds. And it wasn't even hard to get him down. And he didn't work to get back up either. So I have questions over Michael Morales' get-ups because, ultimately he finished those fights, so we didn't really see any more takedowns after that. We don't have enough information about him being taken out. I know that Sean Brady wants to get it to the mat. Sean Brady has got everyone to the mat except Beneil, right? And I'm not going to make excuses for that because that was bad performance by Sean Brady, losing to Beneil. The only thing that Sean Brady said was it was in Abu Dhabi. It was his first time traveling outside of the States, and he just didn't acclimatize and didn't cope with it. And that happens. And I think sometimes a loss can benefit you. He certainly has been on an awesome run. Like, you just can't compare opponents. Being Gastelum, Burns, and Edwards in dominant fashion. If you want to compare another like-for-like opponent, he absolutely dominated Jake Matthews and finished him, right, in round 3, dominated him. And it was a competitive fight between Jake Matthews and Michael Morales. Michael Morales was comfortable. He wasn't going to lose that fight, but it wasn't the way that Sean Brady did that. So I think that if this goes to the mat, I think Sean Brady can finish Michael Morales the first time it gets to the mat. If it doesn't, it's going to be sketchy. So I completely think there's so many unknowns that the close odds are fair. And I think Josh is going to have the deciding vote on this one.
Yeah. I look, if there was no discussion and someone on the street just asked me who's going to win, I would have picked Brady. So I'm just going to go with that. Brady. Just
okay. There's a coin toss method, so don't take any offense, Will. It's not based on our strength of arguments.
I just haven't really taped this one yet. Like it's so weird. It's like prospect versus prospect, but at a higher level. So yeah, Brady.
I think for me, the big unknowns of what we've already discussed is just we don't know what Brady's going to look like striking against a guy with this power and this reach. And we don't know if he get the takedowns. And then if he does, we don't know what Michael Morales looks like off his back. Well, we do know what Michael Morales looks like off his back. If you watch those fights against poor grapplers, Fugit and Giles, he doesn't look great off his back. So I think it's more the case of, can Brady take this fight where he wants it? That's the question. I think he can, because that's why I'm picking him. But yeah, so I guess decision maybe if Morales can sort of stay safe on the feet. Otherwise, maybe it's a sub or a TKO. I really think that all the options are available here.
I'm a bit risky when it comes to this fight, and I can imagine a sub. So if you're comfortable with the decision, I'm cool with that. But the sub is what I'm probably thinking of.
Then we need a round. Is he going to sub?
Yeah, I would say round 2, middle. Yeah, but if you like decision, then we'll go. Right.
I will say that at plus money, I do think Michael Morales is probably worth betting on. To be honest, I can't, I can see he's got the danger factor. I think it's hard to see Sean Brady being value where he is right now. He's like minus 130. Yeah, I think there's a lot of unknowns, so I think it's close. Definitely close. That's it. We did it. What a great event this is shaping up to be. And there are a lot of fights we didn't talk about, right? So we've got Blanchfield Cortez. That's going to be brilliant. Are there any other fights you guys are looking forward to before we sign off?
It all looks like shit. It all looks pretty bad. Like the prelims just always look.
I think this is a good one. Kopylov Rodriguez. That's an absolute banger, no?
I guess so, but
the intrigue around Bo Nickel. This is like going to be the most interesting fight.
All right, I've seen just call me a hater, then that's okay. That's fine.
People are like putting so much money on Bo Nickel. I haven't even thought about this. They're completely writing off Adolfo, which seems
which is mad. He just had the best striking fight of his his career. I know it's against Trayshawn Gore, but he looked really good. He just used the jab.
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? And he's a huge middleweight, Adolfo Fidera, and but Bo Nickel just looked like a weight class below RDR. I don't know.
I was interested in Bo when it was close, but oh my god, he's like -1, like 225 now.
And this fight to open up, this is a banger. Mariscal, Sabatini, they've already fought once before. I just watched their fight earlier, their first fight. It's brilliant. It was a great fight. So I think, whilst there are some fights here which aren't great, I think for the most part.
Wellmaker versus Haddon as well. Cody Haddon is no slouch. He's a good guy. Like that's a banger of a prospect one. Like that could be interesting in like 5 years' time.
In like 5 years' time, yeah.
No, I mean like in like hindsight, like we look back on their careers in 5 years and we're like, oh shit, it's crazy those two fought. Dorcas and Mearshot's interesting as well. Like I really like this card.
Yeah, gonna be a good one, and it's in Madison Square Garden. So the big question on everyone's mind is, will Donald Trump be attending? Since he tends to like to show up to these cards in Madison Square Garden. I hope that he doesn't. We'll keep politics out of it.
I simply just hope for the broadcast's sake he's not there, because it always drags for like 10 minutes. And the UK guys are like, fuck hell, let's get on with it. It's 3 a.m.
Right. Well, we'll be back in a week's time. You know the deal. We're going to come to you with our bets. You've probably got a good inkling of which way most of us are going to bet already. And we've obviously hinted at the bets we have placed. So won't be too many surprises next week. But as always, thanks for tuning in. And guys, any last words?
Take it away, Will. Go on.
Oh, man. I ain't got nothing prepared. I hope everyone has a lovely time. Enjoy this card. We'll see you before that. But just be kind to each other. I don't know. I don't have any words of wisdom here.
That's good enough. I think that for MMA fans, be kind to each other. That goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do.